Hello everyone and welcome to the Proc, a new show that will help you level up your game. And to help you level up your game, we have today's guest, JMAK. JMAK, why don't you introduce yourself real quick for us?
Hi everyone, my name is Jeff, or known as JMAK. I've been playing Summoner's War for over 5 years, and I am a content creator, streamer, and I specialize in RTA content.
Yes, like Jeff said, today's episode will be focusing on RTA, something that a lot of players would love to get more into, but a lot of times they're like, oh, I'm not really sure. So I guess to start off, for you, what is it about RTA that you enjoy?
It's basically the competitive nature, and not just that. It's measurable, where you can see improvement as you play the game.
So how did you go about learning?
So I played RTA right when it first launched. I don't even remember how many years ago. And I kind of took the arena approach into it, building monster, building compositions, and RTA is not like that anymore. It's a lot more complicated. There's a lot more layering involved. But at the beginning, it was just bring your strongest monsters, best ruined monsters, and go in and see if you will survive.
Who are some people that helped you, if any?
Right at the beginning, when I first started playing, and in 2017 when I competed in the first SWC, I had a friend of mine who I ended up fighting, Hypnotic Nick. He understood the game. He was a legend player in Arena, and we talked a lot, we screamed a lot, and learned how to build comps. And Baron was a big person that was also doing a lot of Summoner's War high level play. So I watched a lot of Baron. As it evolves, I met a lot of new friends, a lot of amazing players. There's tons of players you can follow and watch on social media right now, or not social media, yeah, YouTube and Twitch and whatnot. And then two people that have helped me a lot recently are my guildies, Faint Memories, Josh, and TC, which is Thomas. Where luckily for me, they live in Vancouver, so we always gathered around and chat and just bounce ideas off each other, and we sort of help each other.
Okay, I guess moving on, like if there's one tip that you could give, what would that one tip be?
Watch your replays. Even if you lose, it doesn't matter, especially in rankings. In tournament mode, of course it matters, but always review your replays. Watch all the replays of when you win and also when you lose, because you're able to see what you did correctly that led to the win, or what you did incorrectly to led to the loss.
Yeah, that's definitely true. When you look back at the replay, you realize, oh no, I made this misplay here, or I could have done this differently here. So watching back the replay, always super important, always super good. All right, awesome. So why don't we talk about some monsters in RTA? And I guess the first one that I kind of want to talk about is the Fire Shadow Claw. It's a free monster. What are your thoughts on the Fire Shadow Claw?
The Fire Shadow Claw is insane. It's really hard to ruin because you need to get it fast and also 100 crit rate to be able to use the third skill into the second skill. It's really strong mainly because of artifacts. With a lot of people running it on Swift, putting additional damage on attack and additional damage on speed on it. It does a lot of damage, and it also pushes attack bar. I think the unit is incredible. We're going to see it a lot in SWC this year.
Like you were saying, the ability to combo that third skill into that second skill, get that extra damage from the third skill, and then go and potentially do an AoE strip and attack bar pushback on the whole enemy team. It's a really powerful skill, and you're seeing it in action right here. All right, I guess to talk about another monster, why don't we talk about probably the hottest monster in RTA right now, Moor. What do you think about Moor, JMAK?
Personally, I feel like Moor is a little overpowered, a little as in a lot. I feel like in this last 2 seasons, Moor has become a staple, where Mo Long was a staple in 2017, where it was a force pick first unit. Everybody fights for that unit just because it does so much. It does a lot of damage. It gains a turn when you hit it, and it reduces damage. On top of that, it reduces attack bar. It has a 24 speed lead. And let's say if you take a unit like Chiwu, which was really prevalent last SWC, you can't even take a Chiwu into Moor, because if you use Chiwu's skill, Moor is gonna steal a turn and do the exact same thing to you, but with more damage.
Yeah, exactly, man. Me personally, more is definitely my most wanted unit. Yeah, more is definitely probably the staple in the meta right now. And, you can just see it right here. Look at this thing in action. All right, JMAK, now that we just talked about those two units, if there's a monster in the game that you could change, what would it be and why?
For me, it would be the Dark Canyon Girl Bella, just because it's a new LD 5 I've pulled recently. But I've tried to make her work with my other units, and I just cannot. It's a very fun unit. The skin is beautiful on the unit. So I'll be a little biased, and I want one of my units buffed.
I mean, who doesn't want to see their own units buffed? For all of you guys at home, what monster would you like to see change? Let us know in the comments below. All right, Jeff, that's awesome. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at one of your replays from RTA, and why don't you help break it down for us? All right, so I'm loading up this replay that you sent me between this Korean player, and it looks like they open with Sierra first. You go with a more Okeanos in response. Is this your standard response?
So my standard response is usually I mash the speed lead, because you always still want to continue showing them that you are trying to contest them for speed. Just not give up right at the beginning. By showing that, it's kind of you need to force them to be a little more aggressive into their draft, where it's a lot easier to outspeed someone in draft versus not matching speed lead and whatnot. So that's how I usually respond. I have a resetter, and I believe in my speed as well in my units. So more and Oki is first pick, and yeah.
And then we see that they respond by taking Gianna and Ganymede in their second rotation. And then you go ahead and take Jogun and Hagang. Why did you go with these two monsters?
So Hagang is extremely strong and getting into something like a Gianna. Jogun gives attack buff, and it also is my second stripper that is tuned to my units as well.
Okay. So you're basically trying to match his speed threat with your own. And then he rounds out his draft. He takes Hathor, and I actually did not see the last pick because we were in the replay. And then you end up with taking Chungpung. So why the Chungpung there when you've already kind of presented 3 different strippers already?
It's because, first of all, if I drafted like that, my Hagang is not on Swift. I still need something to follow up with my Oki and my Shogun. So the way I drafted here is technically you should be having your last slot being a speed lead to match it, but because I expect him to ban my Hagang every single time, I'm just gonna ban the Pisama, and I believe in my speed to completely go in front of him. And it's a gamble that I'm taking, that I'm outspeeding him and also resetting him right after that.
Awesome, that totally makes a lot of sense. But why don't we go ahead and take a look at this match and see how it goes. All right, he opens, and it looks like his Gianna actually does go first, which is kind of surprising, but he doesn't use the skill 3 because he knows that if he uses the skill 3, the Hagang, which you've presented in draft, was basically going to allow you to go ahead of his team. So what were you thinking when you saw that his Gianna go first?
When his Gianna go first, because he didn't ban Hagang, I would say that we tried to mind trick each other in a way where now he doesn't know what to do. He can't throw his thing for me to strip, because once he throws that, my units get buffed. I'm going to strip, and basically everything of mine goes. I'm speed tuned for that. So because of that, I knew that I was already in a very good spot right after that.
I mean, on top of that too, like something I totally forgot to, if he did use his skill 3, he would have also pushed your more ahead of his team. So while the rest of his team is wind, it's still not really a gamble you really want to take. All right, we progress. You go ahead and go ahead and use your skill 2, go for the strip, and you actually strip all 3 units. And did you get the attack bar pushback on the Sierra, or was it just that much slower? I can't actually tell, but you got a pretty good skill 2 out of your more there, and you're able to follow it up with your Rain of Stones from Okeanos. Like you said, that's the reason why you picked them together in tandem. And honestly, like, this match kind of looks over already.
Yep. So I did have some play mistakes in there in between, but I was pretty far ahead in general right after Okeanos goes. More does way too much damage in this meta. Even against the wind units, it's gonna do so much damage with the additional damage artifacts. And from there, yeah, I could have played it a bit little better, killed certain units off instead, where it would end a lot sooner. But no matter who you are, you still make mistakes in the game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, none of us play perfect or never all the time. So, you know, the whole purpose of this exercise is, like we said earlier, make sure to watch your replays, guys, because even in wins, you can find mistakes that you've made. You can find things that you can improve on. And, you know, that's the reason why we watch our replays. Complete dominance from our 2020 SWC America's Cup champion. In general, when you are kind of like playing a match like this, especially with how heavy of a speed meta it is, I know this is something that I personally know I should be doing more of, but don't actually do a lot, is taking my time to actually, I guess, read the attack bars. How important would you say that is to do in your matches?
For me, attack bar reading is the first thing I do. I go in to see if I can take second turn or I cut or anything. That's the most important. I draft now in a way where I expect to cut or I expect myself to be at a certain speed right in front or right behind the players I do. Attack bar is so important, especially now because there are so many pushback units. There's Ken, there's more. If you mess up their turn orders in some way, the game completely is really different, just for the fact that their comp is not tuned anymore. It's different. One unit might go before or after as well.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's definitely probably the thing that's most important in RTA, and it's something that everyone knows, but something that we kind of forget or kind of don't really think about as much as we should. And, you know, thanks JMAK so much for coming on to the show. Any final thoughts, comments, plug yourself? Thanks a lot for being with us today.
Thanks for having me today, guys. I enjoyed this. It's really cool to see Com2uS decide to focus even different segments other than SWC and whatnot into RTA content, because I stream RTA only, and a lot of people always come in, how do I get into RTA, and I'm scared to play and whatnot. Biggest suggestion is just go out there and play, review your matches, and see what you can improve on. You can watch other players and you can kind of figure out what they're trying to do, and that is already an improvement on its own. If you guys want to watch my content, you can go to twitch.tv/JMAK, or you can ask me questions and chat with me at discord.gg/JMAK as well.
If you do want to see more content like this, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to hit that notification bell and let us know in the comments below. Who do you want to see on the next episode? I'm your host, B, and I'll see you next time on The Proc.